This is Local Edition. I'm Brad Pomerance. We're in San Diego County today, and we are joined by Mara Elliott. She is the Chief Deputy City Attorney. She is running for City Attorney in the city of San Diego. Two candidates left going to general on November 8th. I want to speak with you about the state of relations between communities and law enforcement. After 9/11, I felt as if the relationship couldn't have been better.
Right.
We revered firefighters, police officers. But today, in the wake of Ferguson, York, and Minnesota, and Dallas,
it is hard, yeah.
Talk me through it.
Okay, I think that there's been a national conversation about a subject that's long overdue for conversation.
Mm-hmm.
And with a lot of the recent events, it's uncovered a lot of unhealed wounds. And I think for law enforcement and a government agency like the City Attorney's Office, there's much that we can do to try to rebuild trust.
And let's talk through that, because in a lot of ways, you're on the front line. The district attorney is dealing with large crimes, more serious crimes. You're dealing with misdemeanors. And in some ways, I feel as if you can intervene earlier, have a more dramatic impact, because these are folks that you can capture, if you know what I'm saying.
Absolutely.
Right.
And I think that's one of the things that excites me most about the possibility of taking on this position.
Right.
Like you said, we prosecute misdemeanors, but for a lot of these folks, we have the ability to get them back on the right track. So for me, in a sense, if I can put my deputies out of business, that's a good thing.
Not a bad
because
thing.
we can reallocate those resources to things that are also very important to us.
But let's talk about your deputies, because, again, they are an arm of law enforcement.
Yes.
They are an arm of the government. And because of the way the conversation has unraveled, I just sense that my gut tells me the defendants are not feeling as if they're friends with the deputies. They can't trust the deputies when the deputies can be a source of positive change and can help them get back on their feet.
Absolutely. And I love what you're saying, because that's exactly what I want to do. There is a wonderful program, and I want to call it something like Neighborhood Protection Program. And our deputies can be community problem solvers. And there was a day where we used to have deputies assigned out of every police division.
I'm aware of that, yes.
Very effective. And the reason is that they build trust within the community. They're working with businesses. They're working with the neighborhood. They're coming to town council meetings and planning groups. And they're talking about what our office does. A lot of people don't know what we do.
No.
And they are hearing directly from the public what the problems are. And they have this ability to be accountable and responsive to it. So if they are hearing at a meeting, for instance, that there is a chronic problem with vandalism at the intersection of A and 3rd, then they can come back the next meeting and report what it is that they accomplished in response to that complaint.
But what's a challenge when you think about that model, and it's a wonderful one, I've seen it work out. San Diego, second largest city in California, is at 1.3 million people. A lot of folks, and so how can you deploy in a way so you can have that positive change?
Well, and that's going to go to our own operational efficiencies within the office.
Well stated.
And it's a brand new opportunity for a city attorney to bring a fresh perspective, reevaluate how we're doing business, and make sure we're getting the most bang for our buck. So one of the first things I want to do when I come into office is do our own audit of our own operational efficiency, so I can free up some of these deputies and then put them into the neighborhoods, because for me, one of the most important things will be bridging that communication gap that exists between government and the people we serve.
Can I tell you, I have a friend who was, her title, she was in Los Angeles City, neighborhood prosecutor. That was her title. She was assigned to a council district. That's how they did it.
Yes.
She said it was the best job she ever had, and to this day will ever have. Most inspiring. She felt as if she was such a great part of the community, and they loved what she did, and she loved how she could participate.
There's a mutual appreciation because they are community problem solvers. But I think too, as for accountability and transparency, when we're hearing from the public and we're working directly with our law enforcement partners, we're preventing problems from happening. We are overseeing the processes. We are training our law enforcement officers. We've got their back. We also have the community's back. And these relationships can be strengthened.
How many deputy city attorneys are there?
I think we're getting close to 150 now.
Oh, this is a big number.
Yes.
In a good way. I mean, you have the force. You know, you can reallocate. It's not 15, it's 150. where you can really do something and try to move them where you think is it's best fit.
Absolutely, and the something is really what we need to assess, because in my view, the city attorney's office should be providing what San Diegans expect us to do. So part of having these deputies out in the neighborhoods, hearing directly from people, is ensuring that we are responsive in the best way possible.
I want to ask about another element to this, because presuming victory, you will be coming into an office that is still grappling with the way what's known as Prop 47 has reclassified crimes.
Yes.
And so city attorneys' offices have gotten very busy because crimes that had been felonies, they'd go to the DA's office, are now misdemeanors.
Correct.
And they're landing on your desk.
Yes.
And yes, I could see the smile. And so that causes a need for reallocation. What's your thoughts on that, if I may?
Well, yeah, so we did not know what to expect when
Right.
Prop 47 passed. And I have to say hats off to Jan Goldsmith for being
The
ready
incumbent.
for it. Yes, my boss,
Right.
the city attorney who will be termed
Right,
out.
yes.
We had expected a substantial increase, but he put into effect the Community Justice Initiative, which is a form of community court to help people exit our system and get back on their feet. So we had expected, like I said, a substantial growth, but our analysis shows that we had an increase of 600 cases last year.
That's
bad.
not, I think you have about 10,000 a year, so that's not bad. Is that right?
We have about 20,000.
20, I misspoke. Oh, 20, right.
Yes.
You file about 10,000.
Correct.
20,000 cases come in.
Yes.
So that's a small percentage.
It's a small percentage, which is a
Right.
relief, because that means we are doing things right so that we can combat this issue. It frees up resources so that we can focus on some of the things that are really important to me: preventing child abuse,
Right.
bolstering our response to domestic violence, protecting the elderly, working with schools. I want to get our deputies back out, forming
Right.
partnerships and catching kids by 9th grade before they become part of our criminal justice system.
It's interesting you mentioned your desire to help, because pre-47, many of these offenses that are now misdemeanors were wobblers, you know that
Yes.
term. Felony or misdemeanor, the DA could decide.
Correct.
What they'd often do is they say, okay, this is a charge that could be a felony. If you go to drug court, if you go to some diversion, we'll charge
Yes.
it as a misdemeanor or we'll dismiss it. There isn't that ability now. So a lot of them are not being diverted into these programs. Should they drop to misdemeanor status? Can you help on that?
Oh, I think so. I think it's
Right.
finding the right carrot. Because we have a good program that's coming into place. It's being revealed next week. It's called the SMART program.
Okay.
And the idea is to focus on some of our chronically homeless who
Right.
have drug or alcohol issues, and ensure that they're getting the resources that they need so that they can get themselves back on their feet.
And I'm glad you brought up the homeless, because for so long we have grappled with how to handle homelessness. And we're getting to a point where we understand that homelessness is not a crime,
Yes,
but there can be criminal elements attached to homeless behavior.
absolutely.
But you can't incarcerate your way out of homelessness.
No.
So as city
Nor should
attorney,
we.
yes, okay. So as city attorney, that falls into your plate.
Yes. And as city attorney, I'm going to look at the root of the problem, because as you just described, putting a Band-Aid on it is not fixing it. We are seeing the same group coming in and out of our system. And I think there's two lines of thought. One, it's a waste of money when you continue to prosecute the same group over and over. But there's also those of us, most of us, who care. We want to help these people get back on their feet. And I think it's incumbent upon the city attorney to take leadership in this issue, because it impacts the criminal justice system, and it's expensive. So we will be, and that will be under me, taking a leadership role in this. And I have no qualms about putting my neck out to do the right thing. We need someone at the table who's going to pull in all of our regional partners who need to pay their fair share and offer services we can't, medical services.
Her
Yes.
name is Mara Elliott. She is a nominee for city attorney in San Diego. That election is held on November 8th. I'm Brett Pomerance, local.